most quirky and interesting job title that he had, which I have not heard till now, is Creative Paradox. That's what he had. So he used to take creative workshops for elementary schools. So when he got onto the schools and he asked that who all are the artists here, for the first class students, every hand went up. And by the class sixth, hardly a few, like half a dozen or so. So he was like, okay, how these artists are really fading away. And it's, if we see in the today's world, productivity is seen as that, when cow is producing the milk. Before that, when cow churns, when cow chews, that is the invisible space which we hardly give to anyone when we are creating something creative. So a few years ago, I was mentoring a young intern, really, fresh out of college and bright, sharp, uh, having a little dangerous habit of asking, why do we do it this way? Why do we do it this way? And after a month and 3-4 mentoring session, when her, how to of the project was not super crystal clear, one of my senior colleague took me out and really whispered in my, aura that way that, okay, it's like now is the time to give how do things work here. Before she really gets into the trouble of not being able to figure out the word that she has got onto. And he was talking about that in turn and for me as well. And I remember thinking that, so you are asking me in a subtle way to tame the curiosity. And it was like, another young mind getting into the verge of becoming that sheep in the herd who really have, curious eyes looking at and thinking about that how this world operates. And that's the time. And believe me, all of us have got onto those spaces where friction of systems, approvals, and different, pretty much a kind of hairball giving us that, okay, how do things work here, are, taking over our creativity and the way we work. That's the time when this book, Orbiting the Giant Hairball, found me. And this is written by Gordon MacKenzie, and that's like part manifesto and part memoir. Very creatively illustrated, messy, meaningful book. Something which gave a kind of, meaning to the feeling that me and many corporate fools like me feel. We felt that, okay, we are seen somewhere. So that's what this book is about. And it's illustrated in such a wonderful way where creativity can be worked upon between bureaucracy as well. So that's what it's about. And when I say hairball, and when Gordon says hairball, he is, believe me, not at all talking about that hairball industry of strands, serums, and cache tails. He is talking about that slime, that sticky mess of processes, approval, and how things work out here. So it's interesting that when we think of hairball, we only see the entangled mass of corporate policies, traditions, and unspoken rules. And we all have experienced those unspoken rules. Some very familiar one being meeting about meetings, preparation before meeting, 101s before getting into the corporate setting. So those kind of hairs which had its meaning at first place. It was not that those were created just like that. Those were created for a purpose, just that that purpose got lost somewhere. So that's what a hairball is. So it's familiar, and also it's like, okay, innovate if it is familiar, collaborate if it is not losing control. And that's where he offers orbiting. Orbiting is not something like, escaping out of hairball. It's not something getting entangled and crossed in a hairball. Orbiting is creatively go around the hairball like the earth and the moon. The more you get close to it, you will lose your own self. The more you get far from it, you will lose the essence of working the way you are working. So that's like really maintaining the gravitas as well as gravity of the hairball. Pretty much at the balance of structure and freedom that way. And the three stories out of these books, like every chapter is great illustration, and that's like something which is like handwritten notes, journaling things. So that's something which I found like, okay, it can be done while staying in an organization for 30 years. Like Gordon McKenzie stayed in the organization for 30 years, and it was like he started as creative artist, and by the time he went out of the organization, he was pretty much ruling the creative industry of Hallmark. And the most quirky and interesting job title that he had, which I have not heard till now, is Creative Paradox. That's what he had. So I will just share three stories, which are like three chapters out of the book, because each chapter is loaded and layered. So first one is, which gets me like every time I open this book. So he used to take creative workshops for elementary schools. So when he got onto the schools and he asked that who all are the artists here, for the first class students, every hand went up. And by the class 6th, hardly a few, like half a dozen or so. So he was like, okay, how these artists are really fading away. And I would say that being a parent and being somebody who is passionate about teaching, I feel that this is not something which is very intentional, that these creative hands are going off. This is, I would say, that very innocent causality of parent and teacher, which is like, okay, we want to prepare our children for the world. And in that preparing our children for the world, we teach them color between the lines. And then when we get into the corporates, we teach them operate on the lines of org charts. So that's what he calls that, how you can slowly, invisibly bring a facade to a person which becomes a creative shield for them or protective shield from them, and moving from why not to better not do it. And then second is story which is milking cows, which is interesting one, that if we see in the today's world, productivity is seen as that, when cow is producing the milk. Before that, when cow churns, when cow chews, that is the invisible space which we hardly give to anyone when we are creating something creative. And third and most interesting is that this guy has started a humor workshop and is on a shopping spree. So he got some, interesting materials for his workshop, and there are some doors which are used for some hangers, and then there are milk cans used for trash. An accounting department comes to him and say that, okay, we can't really code these milk cans in our account books. This doesn't work here. So he's like, welled up with anger and red taping of corporate. And at that time, and then one of his colleague comes and says that, okay, I understand that this is not allowed here, but we also have Hallmark art department. Can we just take it on the name of art department and you can loan us? And that's how it worked. Orbit worked very completely, very a kind of, in a subtle way. And that's interesting, where I would say that when we are working in some creative space or bureaucratic space, it's neither creative nor bureaucratic. It's what we created. It's like Hairball and Orbit go hand in hand only. And I would say that in today's AI-fueled, productivity-obsessed and badge-earning world, this book is even more vital. Because today, even creativity is sounding like something, hustle to pursue. Creativity is like, you have to pursue it. And it's coming as that, okay, you can innovate if you stay within the lines. You can engage employees, colleagues in the name of mandatory fun. So, which is not orbiting. Orbiting is neither get entangled into it nor get consumed into it, but still live creative. That is what this book is about. And I would say that most of the impactful leaders I have known and I have got privilege to work with, they orbit. They do not burn the systems around. They bend those systems towards humanity, towards play, towards truth. And they don't stay within I'm ending it up. So I will end it up with a very beautiful wish that Gordon has given at the last page of the book. That is, you have a masterpiece inside you, too. You know, one unlike any that has ever been created or ever will be. And remember, if you go to your grave without painting your masterpiece, it will not get painted. No one else can paint it, only you. And that's the message that he is offering. And with this, I will say that maybe that masterpiece we leave behind is a permission for those young interns or those people who are seeing us. We give someone else to ask, why do we do it this way? Thank you, everyone.